please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now Dr. Christine Farr will give our invocation.
Good afternoon. Today is a day of looking back and looking forward. It's been quite a year. That's probably the most overused statement you'll hear. But today we look at President Darren Miller's past year and look forward to President Todd Bentley's year ahead. Might we also pause for a moment to reflect on the last year and where we are headed in the next year? As we think back to the past year, what emerges is a year of hardship, courage, gratitude, and resilience. For many of us, the last 15 months have meant long hours and rising to meet new challenges in our workplace, with our families, and in our communities. We help support others in their grief, and were helped by others when grief came home to us. We found new strengths in loneliness and formed new practices and bonds to ward off despair. It was truly a year that called for the best that each of us had to give. As we look to the future, the pandemic and the need for social justice are not over. They are still present, and Rotary must still continue to support the needs of our members and our community in the days ahead. May we all give abundant grace and compassion as we think to the future of our city and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Please be seated. Thanks to all of our Rotary rotating sponsors whose names appear on the screen, and they were running before lunch. We appreciate all your support. Again, today I'd like to welcome all our visual audience, our virtual audience. That means a lot to us that you've joined us here today. We have some guests in the room, so if they would please stand when they call their name and remain standing so we can welcome all of you at once. We have District Governor Craig Burnett, Keith Barnes, the principal architect with KCB Buildings, way in the back over there. Deli Ajalabi, principal at Comsentia. Welcome. Sherry Jordan, Deputy Director of the Milwaukee County Department of Administrative Services. Jack Henke, the Mequon Rotarian and author of a number of books, and he's with Henke and Associates. And of course, Sherry Miller. Where's Sherry? There she is, hiding. You're not sitting together. Is that a sign of something? Shelley. We do have a special announcement today. Today is the birthday of Eckerd Groman, a longtime Rotarian, 53 years. So I think Eckerd has joined us virtually today. Happy birthday, Eckerd. We appreciate your membership also. So we have a little club business. We're here to have some fun looking back on the past year with President Darren, and then extend a welcome to Todd for our upcoming presidency. But before we get into that, we've got some club business that we want to get to. First, Maroka Velez, Senior Director of Marketing at Associated Bank, and Joanne Antone, Director of Herb Cole Philanthropies, will each introduce a new member. So why don't you folks come on up and introduce our new people.
Thank you, Steve. Is it this one? Yes? Okay. It is so good to be back here in person with all of you. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Erin Richards as a new member of our Milwaukee Rotary Club. Erin does have a head start here. She may look familiar. She's been a presenter through our shared programs with Milwaukee Press Club, and she also participated in the Group Study Exchange Program for Young Professionals in 2011 between the Milwaukee Rotary and regions in northern Italy. Erin is currently a national K-12 education reporter for USA Today, and before that she worked at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel and has over 12 years of experience covering the people, policy, and trends in K-12 education. Erin is from St. Louis, and she holds her BA in Mass Communications with an equine science minor from Murray State University in Kentucky and her MA in Journalism from the University of Missouri-Columbia. She came to Milwaukee in 2006 for a summer internship with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, then was hired as a suburban reporter in Waukesha County in 2007. Erin started reporting about education shortly after and then won the prestigious Spencer Fellowship for Education Reporting at Columbia University in New York City in 2015. 2 years after returning to Milwaukee, Erin won another fellowship at Marquette University to study the damaging academic and social effects of students repeatedly switching schools. Some of you may have remembered exploring this topic during our Rotary book read of Matthew Desmond's Evicted, a book which inspired Erin to investigate the link between eviction and children bouncing in and out of schools in Milwaukee. Erin is also a member of our Milwaukee Press Club and serves on the board of the MPC Endowment, the charitable arm of the Press Club that focuses on raising money and distributing grants to help the next generation of journalists in Milwaukee and statewide. She stays connected to her equine roots as a member of the American Horse Publications as a judge for their annual journalism awards. And when she needs a break from the news cycle, she can be found in Mugwanago, where she boards her thoroughbred Hobbs at Thunderbird Stables. Erin and I know each other through a mutual friend and really have too many things to talk about today in common, including a shared passion for yoga, traveling, and we're both bilingual in Spanish. And after many a passionate conversation about making Milwaukee the best place it can be, I am just really thrilled to welcome Erin to Rotary to continue this discourse with all of you, and I hope you'll help me welcome her. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you, Marilka. As anyone who has worked with Marilka knows, it's very hard to say no when she decides to involve you in something. I feel like a longtime listener, first-time caller. I've been in this room as a guest, a speaker, the journalist in the corner who couldn't ethically eat the lunch. The lunch is very good. Happy to partake now. And now this is the first time I've been here as an actual member, officially anyway. And so I just deeply believe in what Rotary does around truth, around bringing people together from different cultures, different political backgrounds. We face a, I will say, crisis to this extent in the news and trying to disseminate good and truthful information so people can make good choices in our democracy. And I feel like this is a place where that's really honored, and I'm delighted to be a part of it. So thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Before I introduce our newest member, I want to thank President Darren for a great year of leadership and grace under such challenging circumstances, and of course be the first to congratulate incoming president and welcome our new president, Todd Bentley. And speaking of welcoming, I would like all of you to join me in welcoming our newest member, Amy Faluca. Come on up here, Amy. Amy is certainly one busy person that I know you will all enjoy getting to meet. She is a business owner, an entrepreneur. She's a wife, a mother, a community volunteer, and perhaps most important, she is an avid runner. And you'll know why that's important in a second. Once you get to know her, you are going to definitely need a really good pair of running shoes and maybe some of her new apparel to keep up with her. What new apparel, you might ask? Just ask Amy, because since the time that we got her to join Rotary, she's already started a new business. It is a new functional apparel line. It's under the company brand name Comfyest. But that's not even how I know her. I know her as the founder of the company Bravent. It's a human resources consulting and career coaching company. She also runs her own real estate holding company. Prior to starting her new business, her not even so new business anymore. Prior to starting that business, she invested 8 years crafting her niche and honing a craft, working locally as in HR and talent acquisition. Now, I told you all she's a runner, and that all of us should get used to running with Amy, or running just to keep up with her. And that has certainly carried over into her family and community life. She is a very, very active community volunteer. She spent a lot of time serving as the president of the board of an organization known as Girls on the Run of Greater Milwaukee. And she continues, even though her presidency termed out, she continues to be a very active mentor to young women from the area. She and her husband, Nick, and her two adorable little children, Desmond and Gabriella, and their two dogs, live in Grafton. But I know collectively as a family, they love our community, they love our city, and they are always looking for ways to engage and make our community better. And now Amy is ready to connect. She's ready to serve. She's ready to learn together with us. And I'm so happy to welcome her to the club. I only have one piece of advice for her, and that is, Amy, Rotary is more of a marathon and not a sprint, and we need you to keep running with us for a very long time. Welcome to Rotary.
Oh, thank you. That was so thoughtful and kind and sweet, and you're making me emotional because you put so much thought into that. And I'm so happy because it's a room full of people like that. And I've already gotten to know a number of you. And I just want to tell a quick story so you know how dedicated I am to being here. So when I went to leave my house, we lived in Milwaukee for 10 years in a home on Hamilton and Astor Street. And when I went to come here to the meeting, it did what you all saw. It started downpouring rain. And so I go, well, I've got an umbrella because we rent the home on Airbnb now. So I put umbrellas there for when our renters are there in case it starts to rain. So I grabbed an umbrella like any logical person would do. And I went to go open my garage. And I pushed the garage button and it wouldn't open. And I go, that's strange. So I went to use the keypad and the keypad wouldn't work. And I go, that's also strange. And so then I went, because I'm a tech person, to my app. And I went to open the garage with my app. And the garage door would not open. And I said, how could all three pieces of ways for me to open my garage be failing me when I desperately need to get to this meeting because I am literally being introduced there? And how bad is it going to look if I'm late? and so I sat there with my umbrella in the rain for a moment, and I thought, well, I guess God wants me to call Lyft. And so I called the Lyft, I emailed them, and here I am. And I hope you think that story's funny, because I actually think it's hilarious. Because that's the type of stuff I deal with all day. Doors close in front of me, and someone tells me that they're locking the door, and I find a window and sneak in. That's kind of how I roll. So I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you for welcoming me, and I can't wait to get to know all of you.
So welcome to the club, Aaron and Amy, and thank you, Marilka and Joanne, for introducing them. We always enjoy having new members, and we look forward to working with you. Now, Tom Gale, co-chair of the Rotary International Foundation, will acknowledge some important donors to the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you, past President Steve. You all know there's an open bar here today. Feel free to get up. I can assure you you'll enjoy the program a whole lot more. Throw a couple of pops down. No, that's probably inappropriate. It's my pleasure to recognize some important contributions to Rotary International Foundation. Each time you pay your dues, many of you make a $50 contribution to Rotary Foundation. Your contributions this year totaled $36,500, funds that support critical work around the globe, from the water systems, pedestrian bridges that we build with the engineers Without Borders in Guatemala, and to protecting trees at the Milwaukee Central Arboretum. Thank you all for your support of that. Turning for a moment to the support of polio eradication, I'd like to thank the Zilber Family Foundation, particularly you, Steve, for being behind that, making the matching contribution of $10,000 this year for our annual polio fundraising campaign. Together with donations from our club, members of the Rotary Club, we contributed $24,000 to the polio campaign. With a 2-for-1 match from the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation, our club raised $75,000 in an effort to eradicate polio. The Rotary Foundation and our global polio eradication initiative, called the GPEI partners, have launched the Polio Eradication Strategy 2022 to 2026. delivering on a promise to overcome the remaining challenges to ending polio. Leaders from Pakistan, Afghanistan, the last two countries where the wild polio epidemic remains, we recommend working with GPEI to improve vaccination campaigns and at-risk children. As long as polio exists anywhere, it is a threat everywhere. If you'd like to learn more about this new strategy, you'll find a link in the email that was sent to you this morning. Next, I want to recognize our most recent major donor to the Rotary International Foundation, Tom Bentley. Tom, please stand up. I can sit down now. Tom was the 1998-99 president of our club. He's very proud that his son, Todd, stand up, Todd. Not everybody knows you yet. You've been a little quiet. Todd is our next president. Tom Bentley, actually he's Tom Bentley Jr., is a lifelong Milwaukeean and fifth-generation leader of the Bentley Company. He's semi-retired, but definitely not taking it easy. He remains highly energized in his real estate business, Bentley Management Group, managing vacation properties, land, and industrial buildings in Milwaukee, Racine, Iowa, and Colorado. Particularly Colorado, Tom, right? He's told me some stories. Never. Thank you, Tom, for your generous support of the Rotary Foundation and all you do for Rotary and the community. Major donors contribute a minimum of $10,000 to our club, and we have 10 major donors. The others are Bill Coleman, Jim Dorman, Al Durka, Julili Kohler, Rick Ludke, Doug McNeil, Quinn Martin, Jim Miller, and Mike Paddock. The Paul Harris Fellowship is named for Paul Harris, who founded Rotary with 3 business associates in Chicago in 1905. The fellowship to establish this was done in his honor in 1957. Rotarians who contribute $1,000 to the Rotary International Foundation earn this award. Existing Paul Harris Fellows who continue to contribute are awarded high designations of one for each $1,000 given. Today, we honor those who receive new Paul Harris Fellow recognition through their recent support of Rotary International. These most recent fellows have primarily earned their status through donations to our polio campaign. You will now see their pictures and designations on your screens. Is that right? Is that happening? Oh, good. Steve Chevalier has become a Paul Harris Fellow +7. Wow. Joe Good, Paul Harris Fellow +4. Leslie Hauser has become a Paul Harris Fellow +3. Pat Cronin, Margaret Crawford, John Dellinger, and Mary Isbester are now Paul Harris Fellows +1. Ann Wall, Eulyn Farr, Pete Petrie, and Mike Ebels are now Paul Harris Fellows. Before I return to my seat, I would like all of the Paul Harris Fellows to please stand up. Thank you. To date, we have 146 fellows in our club. Thank you all for leading the way. Each one of you is making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Now, Matt Haas, Wealth Advisor at Pegasus Partners, is one of our club's 5 representatives on the board of the River Revitalization Foundation, and he's going to share some news about the upcoming celebration of Greenway 15-year anniversary. Matt.
Thank you, President Steve. I'm proud to represent Rotary as one of the board members for the River Revitalization Foundation. RF is the lead organization in the Milwaukee Greenway Coalition, which was formed 15 years ago as a group of stakeholders engaged to protect the ecological and recreational value of over 800 acres of green space, sometimes referred to as Milwaukee's Central Park. In this time, the coalition has successfully worked with Shorewood and Milwaukee to permanently protect the Greenway and also completed a master plan to provide a comprehensive vision for the Greenway as a unique urban wilderness containing restored natural communities and shared recreational opportunities. We are inviting you to join us for 15 weeks of events to celebrate this significant 15-year anniversary. The festivities are taking place from July 5th to October 17th and include a series of hosted activities that are free and open to the public. The website where you can view the Greenway 15 schedule is on the projected slide and also in the email from Rotary this morning. You can enjoy activities like guided tours, bike rides, art shows, yoga, and more. I personally will be exploring the Milwaukee River on a kayak with my son. I've done that many times as a kid, and it'll be his first time out on the river, so I'm very excited for that. You can also join the Hike 15 Challenge to hike 15 miles in the Greenway. This is a virtual hike that will allow you to participate on your own schedule at your own pace. And given the work that has been done to connect trails and put this land aside for your recreation, this hike is surprisingly easy to do, other than the fact that you actually have to hike 15 miles. When you register, you'll be entered into a raffle to win a variety of outdoor items. We look forward to seeing you in the Greenway this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And now it's my pleasure and honor to welcome District Governor Craig Burnett.
Good afternoon, colleagues. It's truly a privilege to be here with you on your day of celebration of transition from what was to what will become. It's really non-traditional and unusual for a district governor to show up on your very last day. And yet, in this very unusual, non-traditional year, it seems only fitting that we do that. And I think it's a good opportunity to help you celebrate. It's been an eventful year as well. No question. I want to share 3 events with you that have happened in this Rotary year or immediately prior. For the first time ever in human history, in this Rotary year, the African continent is wild polio virus free. And Rotary takes the mantle of the claim for that with partners around the world for over 30 years, working to eradicate this deadly disease. And also for the first time this Rotary year, in the year 2021, also in the case of polio, the number of cases worldwide has never, ever been so low for a half year. And that number today for 2021 is 2. 2. We started 300,000 plus cases a year 3 decades plus ago, and here we are now, so much very close. So close now. We've said it for so many years. It's upon us. 4 more years, we get rid of those 2 cases, and 4 more years, we're done. This is the power of a large, strong organization. Rotary International is something that does not give up. As an organization, and you as a club, we have now lived through 2 severe pandemics. Think about that. Volunteer organization of people that don't have to do what we do. We all do this out of the goodness of our heart to serve others. Very often, we will never meet. And we can only do what we've done by the strength of those that went before, by the strength of those of us today, setting the stage for those who follow. And so it is indeed important at your changing of the guard to do so. And the last thing I would share with you is this. It's the currency of reward in Rotary. Beyond the feeling of self-worth that we get for doing what we do as volunteers, there really is no other compensation but simply this, 2 words. 2 words I've used extensively this year, and they're very, very important, and they are thank you, colleagues. This is a year when it would have been so easy to pull back, to stop, to retreat, to hide in our shell, to give up altogether. Cease being Rotarians or cease doing what we do. And you and Rotarians around the globe have not done that. You've had the courage, the passion, and the drive to continue our good works. And for that, I thank you. I thank you for being a family of service to humanity. You live a service life that is almost impossible to measure because you do it so very often for people you will not meet for their benefit and not yours. So colleagues, I close with this. Thank you so much for what you've done. I wish for you a wonderful time as you move forward into the next Rotary year. Keep up the good work. Yes. Thank you, Steve. I did have two other announcements out of the three. One is in the 2019-2020 year, there was a polio campaign that was to recognize clubs that achieved $1,500 or more of contributions. For your club, that is a piece of cake. You do so much more than that for Polio Plus, and I do have a certificate that I'll pass over to you at the end. And the second piece I want to share is this, a milestone that ended this year. It started in the last Rotary year. Our district and the one to the north embarked on a campaign to raise funds for the Rotary International Foundation to raise $1 million of new money in $10,000 increments or more. The goal was to finish that up last summer and celebrated it as last October 7th. Last October. Obviously, we didn't get to do that. So the two districts said, let's continue our $1 million journey and see where we go. I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. The journey ends tomorrow, close at midnight. I've already soft announced this. I'm going to give you a still soft but really close number. That $1 million journey will conclude tomorrow, north of $2.5 million. Thank you, Rotary.
Rotary has not stood still over this last year, that is for sure. Finally, three of our members are quite ill right now, sadly. Jim Miller, Det Loffmore, and Dr. Randy Pollard. So Bill Coleman has gotten cards, get well cards, which are in the back. When you leave, please take a chance to sign your name. I'm sure they would all love to hear from you. The more, the better. So please take that opportunity. So, now it is my privilege and great honor to talk about as the immediate past president, talk about Darren Miller and the year that he had and his leadership. Now this is a meeting that brings new leadership to the club, so it's quite exciting. I think it's quite exciting for Darren as well, because after the year that he's endured, it may be even happier event for him that he's now leaving. Now we all know that it's always bittersweet to leave the presidential palace and to let the newly elected successor take your place, but really if the palace is mostly sitting in your den, staring at a little screen, wondering is anybody really out there, how good could that be? Can parting be so sorrowful? Might it be that transition is just as joyful for Darren as it is for Todd? We may never know, but we can guess. The other part of my duties here is to poke a little fun at Darren. And as the outgoing chief, and in a true Rotary spirit of fun and camaraderie, but finding even a little humor during a pandemic isn't so easy. And making fun of a guy like Darren at the expense of him is even tougher because he's so darn perfect. What? This is highly out of order. Darren, should I let them talk? Okay.
Perfect. What is this deal with all this? Darren is such a nice guy. It's like he's just such a delicate flower.
I mean, we get it, right? I mean, he's so nice. He's so understated, so humble. I mean, look at him. He's as wholesome as a glass of warm milk, right? Jolly, am I right?
I mean, it's fine, but can we all just finally admit that there's at least a couple times during these last 12 months of Darren's presidency that we didn't wish he might have just forgotten to turn the mute off just a couple times?
And being that understated, and this is a fact, Darren, you can note this down, not unlike the beloved series Bewitched, we actually had a different actor play the Darren character every week, and none of you noticed.
That's a great point, Saj, and a really obscure Bewitched reference. Truly, though, truly great leadership during these unprecedented times. But what I'd like to do is commend you, Darren, because, and this is a fact, Darren is the first president in our club's long and illustrious history to go consecutive Tuesday meetings without any pants on. I can't say I had them on either, but you were the president.
And I've had a lot of conversations with Darren, and I know that he's drawn on his many, many years of experience in the construction industry during this challenging year. If you think about it, he's the glue that held us together, right? Kept us on a solid foundation and spent the better part of the year hammered. So,
Yeah, it's, but you just gotta look at him, because, he's such a nice guy. He's a gentle soul and a true embodiment of the four-way test. I just only wish he would have looked for a way to end our meetings on time every once in a while. He's just a virtual girl living in this virtual world, and we commend him for that. But ladies and gentlemen, Sir Jamie Reeves. Darren, I couldn't go your whole presidency virtually the whole time, so this is my first time back. Thank you, and I thank my HR department for letting me do it, but I couldn't let this roast go by without me appearing. But in all seriousness, which I left at home, as the program committee chair, you're aware, Darren, that I receive the weekly survey feedback, and many times it goes a little bit beyond the questions we ask, and you could call that unsolicited feedback, perhaps. But luckily for me, and embarrassingly for you, there were a few nuggets that I have garnered through the year that are important for you to understand as you go forth as the immediate past president. Number one, and this person would like to remain anonymous, but he allowed me to rhyme his name as Tritchie Merck. Tritchie Merck says, Darren is easily one of the best 3 or 4 presidents we've ever had during a global pandemic. Another member wishing to remain nameless, but who works at MSOE and whose name is very difficult to pronounce, said, Darren really is generous. I mean, have you seen his plate each week at the Saz's buffet line? And then finally, someone who won't be named says, good job, Dad. You really nailed your virtual profile this week. With all seriousness, you're terrific. We had a great year with you, whether virtual, in person. I'm grateful to know you as a friend. I'm grateful to be a Rotarian alongside you. Well done.
Well, apparently it wasn't as hard to make fun of you as I thought it was, Darren. Impressively, however, Darren never missed a meeting, whether it was virtual or in person, and he even suffered with COVID himself and did not miss anything during that time. He regularly showed up in meetings with his little scooter after he injured himself playing backyard lumberjack, trying to cut down a tree, but he still showed up. He chaired board meetings with patience and great tact, never losing his cool when we hit him with nitpicky questions or droned on and on. He was always very polite. He zoomed from committee meeting to committee meeting to stay on top of club happenings, and he always did this very cheerfully and positively. So making fun of a guy like that is very difficult. He was even a snazzy dresser. I don't know if you noticed the neat sport coat that we got for him just to help with his attire. I like it. It's got lots of patches on it, a coat of many colors. However, actions speak louder than words, and Mary has provided me with a list of what we accomplished during President's Year, just in case Craig didn't convince you enough of how active Rotary has been. She writes, as members of the Rotary Club in Milwaukee, we're very proud of the strong history of connecting people and resources for the common good and supporting projects for the benefit of the entire community. While 2020 proved to be very difficult, more than many of us had imagined, there's still a lot of us to celebrate in your year, Darren. And throughout 2020, in addition to the top speakers that we had, people still want to come and talk to us. These are just a few of the things that were accomplished on your watch. We awarded 22 scholarships, and we hosted 2 successful golf outings. You got 2 golf outings, you only had 1. We increased the value of our scholarship endowments by over $200,000, with 60% of that coming from contributions and the rest coming from growth in the stock market. Thank you, Dow Jones. Our most recent gift came from Darren's mother, who in his honor made a donation to the Board of Directors Scholarship Fund. And that fund has now reached $33,000. Our goal there is $50,000. If we do that, we can support yet another student. So we haven't stopped with that effort. We had great progress at the urban stables. They've opened up, the police are there, and our therapeutic programs are beginning, or will begin this year. From Our Table to Your Table is a program we've started to make donations to people in Johnson's Park and organizations that need help. This year we gave over $35,000 as a club to many different organizations in that community. We donated $50,000 for the Rotary Community Room at the Central Library, which is going to open this year with the Rotary name on it. We've deepened our understanding of the impact of structural racism in our community through a number of endeavors that we've tried, including book reads. We committed $50,000 for the Marcus Center for the Performing Arts, which is something that we were originally involved in when it was built. We support things at the Urban Arboretum this year, Hike Milwaukee, for socially distant walks, which are very popular. We sponsored the Milwaukee Film Festival, the Premier Black Theater Festival, and the Minority Health Film Festival on your watch. We continued our partnership with Engineers Without Borders in our work in Guatemala. We had a $200,000 water enhancement project in Escuintla with the support of a dozen local Rotary clubs. We also did work in India, by the way, helping people with diabetes care and prevention. We donated funds again to Guatemala for PPE equipment, repairing ventilators, recovering from hurricane damage. We gave donations. Every week you announce a donation to the YWCA to help compete against racism. We cleaned up the Milwaukee River. We rang bells for the Salvation Army. We packed food at Feeding America. A number of you participated in that. We gave financial support to a number of organizations like the McKee Christmas Club to help people at that time of the year. We gave sailing lessons or donated for disabled veterans. We did fundraising for the Gold Star family. And we could go on. But just in case you think this has not been a successful year, I disagree totally. And all this in the middle of a pandemic. So we did not stand still. We also know that Darren is a highly respected businessman, earning many accolades from his customers and peers, many of which were on his website, interestingly enough. He's an architect and a real estate developer running JM Construction Company, following the Rotary 4-way test. He's a hands-on kind of guy, does a lot of his work out of his pickup truck in blue jeans with his cell phone in hand, because he's got to be out on the sites. And I know this because many times in committee meetings, he'll call in from a job site when things are very busy. As a family man, he's a devoted husband to Shelley, not Sherry, my apologies, and a great dad to his 2 children, Delaney and Harrison, of whom he's very proud and supportive and will willingly brag if you give him half a chance. And Shelley, why don't you stand up and be acknowledged? Thank you for sharing Darren with us for this year. Behind every successful man, there's a smarter woman, in my opinion. So. By my count, Darren is the 109th president of the Rotary Club of Milwaukee, and there have been tough years before. We've had pandemics, wars, recessions, depressions, but this one's got to go down in the record books. It's a challenging year to beat all challenging years. With the hard work and creative thinking of the Rotary Club of Milwaukee's staff and the miracles of modern technology, Darren has carried on and remained calm throughout this year. Began the year in July in remote mode, took a stab at in-presence meetings in September for a little while, then returned to remote mode for another 9 months. And he's now led us out of the wilderness, back in person. He's described this experience of his as kind of a twisted version of the Truman Show, where somebody must be watching this as a grand experiment, and we're all being observed from somewhere else in a higher power. Well, we've been back in Memorial Hall for the last 2 months, and through all of this, Darren has kept his humor his gracious personality intact. While predecessors have had other interesting times, this one is certainly as strange and as tough as many. In fact, to quote Winston Churchill, he may have led our club in what it could be its finest hour. Darren, we've had a truly great year under your leadership. So, with apologies to the poet Joyce Kilmer, I've rewritten his Ode to Trees, and I've cleverly entitled it To Our Virtual Pres, Darren. I think that I shall never see a virtual Pres as grand as he, a Pres whose cheerful smile impressed, even as COVID our audience repressed. A Pres that really did okay and worked for us members every day. A Pres that might in meetings wear his blue jeans beneath the computer's stare. Upon whose features the internet trained, who intimately lived with pandemic pain. Preses are roasted by fools like me, but we're proud of this Pres, who was great on TV. So, my apologies again to Joyce. So thanks, Darren, for all that you did for the club this past year, for the years leading up to this year, and for what we know you'll do in the future for the Rotary Club in Milwaukee. I actually stole another quote from your company website, which I think sums up your philosophy to a T, and it obviously was a tribute to someone that you admired and loved greatly. And I quote, "We look ahead always with the perspective of where we have been. We have a passion for what we do. We look to surround ourselves with motivated and talented people who drive to excel, people who teach us that life is as important as work, striving to respect our work and each other." That's a great quote. So here's to living in the heart of those who will miss us when we're gone. Please come on up and accept our thanks for a great year, Darren.
Wow, thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone here. What a blessing. They didn't even give me an agenda when I showed up here. How cool is that? Right? and I'm not at the head table. I remember when I was president-elect in my run-up to being president, and Joanne Anton said something to the effect like, "Wow, this is going to be great. You're young. You'll wear hip stuff. You'll come to Rotary as president in your jeans." Man, was she right? Right? Like, quick show of hands. Who came to a meeting last year in their underwear? Right? Everybody had that opportunity. It's just, it's funny. I know Patrick, Jamie, the two of you being here, first time back. Yoga pants, right? Yeah, yoga pants at the meetings. That came from you. I was probably guilty of that also. I'm not gonna lie. All kidding aside, last year was really tough. Right? It was really tough for our country. It was tough for our club, for our city. But it really highlights tough years highlight opportunity, right? And our city is not perfect. There's a lot of things that we do to help make it better. And I think when we have a tough year, it really shines for all of us and how important this club is to the city and how important our members are to the work of the city and our club. We dig in, we find the truth, and we try to make things fair to all concerned, right? I don't think it would be lost on anyone that success never really comes without failure, right? And truth does not come by accident. And I think really one of the greatest strengths of our club and of Rotary in general is just that seeking the truth, right? And seeking fairness, not just opinion. And I think we all need to hold on to that and really lift it up. I want to thank all of our members, our committee chairs, the board, past presidents, my family. We have a vibrant club with a lot of opportunity because all of you didn't give up. You're all here. Like our district governor said, right? We are here. We've put in the time. We stayed, and I think we all have that to look forward to. Mary, I want to say that I've never seen you work harder, more diligently, or with more passion than you have in this last year. Our club owes her the greatest of debts. Truly blessed to have just a small bit of participation in this club and all of the great and wonderful friends that I've met and being able to be a part of it. I've been accused of allowing meetings to run long, so I'm going to be a bit brief, as brief as I can. Steve, I thank you for being a confidant to me in the year preceding my presidency and through this whole year, for you being here today. Todd, as much as I look forward to my opportunity as president, I'm really looking forward to yours. You're going to do great, so thank you all very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow, big shoes to fill. Darren liked to joke about his presidency being one of the more boring presidencies in the history of Milwaukee Rotary presidencies, but I can attest to the fact, seeing firsthand, really the work and the effort that went into, really getting through what was probably one of the toughest Rotary years, maybe in the history of this Rotary Club. So to Darren, to Mary, to the board of directors, to the committees, for everybody else who really stepped up and helped bring this club to where we are today, thank you very much. I'm incredibly proud to be a Rotarian. And the more I've been involved in Rotary, the prouder I've become. Just the good works, the stuff that this club does, that Rotary International does, so many of us only see a portion of what happens. And the depth and the breadth of what we do is really incredible. Not only is Rotary as an organization great, but I'm just amazed and humbled at the dedication, the passion, the contribution of so many of you in this room. It is truly incredible, and it's what makes Rotary, I believe, not only the best organization in southeastern Wisconsin, but I'd say the best organization of its type in the world. The past 15 months have changed our world in ways we would have never imagined. The human toll this pandemic has had on our most vulnerable is unimaginable. From the elderly who are really directly affected by this pandemic, all the way to the children who have lost a year of education and experiences, really nobody has escaped this unscathed. And our Rotary Club, here Rotary Club of Milwaukee, has been fundamentally impacted as well. We're an organization that prides ourselves on connecting people and resources for common good. While Mary, Darren, the rest of the team, they handle these changes incredibly well, and we're able to maintain so much of what we do. But the pandemic and the restrictions that pandemic put upon us, it limited to in certain aspects a pretty great extent, what we do and what we're accustomed to do as an organization. The list Steve read out of everything that we were able to accomplish over the last 12 months is really incredible, considering really the restrictions we had as a club and as an organization. As we're starting to look at this pandemic in the rearview mirror, it hopefully allows us to get back to what makes this Rotary Club special. Connecting and collaborating to make a real difference in our communities. To do this, we need the help of all our membership. We need to continue to identify great candidates who really share our values and our missions. We need to continue to educate, the community, our friends, our neighbors on, what Rotary is. Wear your pins out there. Connect on social media. We need to continue to make sure our message gets out there. And we need to build our club and membership to continue taking the Rotary Club of Milwaukee into our next century of making significant impacts
on our community. Another truth this pandemic has laid bare is the inequities and challenges that our local and global communities continue to face. We're living in a polarized political environment, often, either ill-equipped, unable, or unwilling to really make a lot of the changes we need to make to result in better outcomes. Something as simple as the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial for all concerned? Something pretty straightforward, something that you would hope would be the foundation of everything that gets done in our communities. But so often it seems more like the exception rather than the rule for what happens around us every day. It's really against this backdrop that I feel Rotary as an organization has the ability to step in and make real and lasting improvements to really improve outcomes and transform lives for the better. I believe that our tagline of Rotary now more than ever has never been truer than it is today. We're a unique organization, non-political, made up of a diverse group of Rotarians. Really, the one thing that we all have in common is we want to make our communities in the world a better place. We've got the connections, we've got the trust in the community, we've got the support, and most importantly, we've got the willpower to do great things. So, my message to all of you guys, my hope is that, we continue to bring forward, so many of the ideas and initiatives that we've been so successful at bringing to fruition over the past 100 years of this club. I'm humbled to have had the opportunity to be involved the way I have with Rotary. Thanks to all of you, all the Rotarians in this room and online, to Mary, to Melissa, to Aaron, for the dedication, vision, support, commitment, and selfless acts that are impacting so many lives. Thanks for guiding our club really through one of the greatest challenges we may have ever faced. And I'm going to do my best to live up to those examples that are out there, those examples that have been set. And thanks to all of you for your continued support. So, with that being said, I'm excited to step into the role and, really looking forward to what we can do as an organization over the next 12 months. Couple adjournment announcements. First time, officially to walk through these. Next week, the Tuesday Rotary program is not going to happen. 4th of July week, we have a vacation week. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, July 13th. Rick Schlesinger from the Milwaukee Brewers, President of Business Operations, will be our speaker. On everybody's tables and through the email, you'll find information about the Rotarian tour of the Pabst Mansion the morning of Wednesday, July 14th, coming up after our return from the holiday break. It is not on the flyer on the tables. 8 a.m. is the time for the Rotarian tour at the Pabst Mansion. It should be a great tour. The Pabst Mansion Board of Directors took advantage of the pandemic closure to rewire the building. It's been anything but a routine operation, so obviously a great opportunity to go see the facility and learn a lot about it. Also look in your email for information about the Greenway celebration, the strategy update for the polio eradication. Tom Bentley has his People of Action profile in the email, so pay attention to that. Stop by and sign the cards for Jim Miller, Detlef Moore, and Randy Pollard. I think they're on the table by Mary on the way out. I wish everybody a happy Independence Day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys on July 13th. And one final note, courtesy of Pat, for those of you parked in the lot, please remember to take their voucher tickets with you. You don't want to have to walk all the way back up those steps. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.